everyone, Miss Alessandra here from the Weston Public Library, bringing you another digital recommendations video on a Friday. I'm going to go through some recommendations of books that you can find using our electronic resources at westonpubliclibrary.org. Go to our electronic resources, and each of the books that I'm going to talk about, I'll let you know where you can find it, and you can download it using your library card or your email address connected to your library card. And if you don't have a library card and would like to get one electronically, you can email us at westonlibrary@westonct.gov. We can get that set up for you so that you can use our electronic resources while the library building is closed. And I'm going to do a couple of recommendations for all different age groups, starting with the youngest. So I'm going to start with the picture books. And some of these recommendations will be from me, and some will be from other staff members that have given me recommendations about something that they really enjoyed. So we're going to start with the picture books. Our first book today that I wanted to recommend is called Bark George, and this is by Jules Pfeiffer. This is my absolute favorite picture book. When a mother wants her puppy to bark but hears a different animal sound come out, she immediately brings the dog to the vet to find out why her puppy, who should bark, is actually meowing. This is such a fun story with so many animal sounds and such a silly plot. It's great to act out as the vet pulls out each animal from the puppy's belly that he's making the sound of and waits to hear the next sound, hoping for that bark. I think kids will really enjoy this. This is a lot of fun, like I said, to act out. It's a lot of fun to make the sounds, and I just love this story. I really do. And it is available as a video on Hoopla. Our next one is another picture book. It is The Very Impatient Caterpillar by Ross Burak. It's a very fun, entertaining, and educational picture book about a caterpillar that cannot wait to become a butterfly. So as a reader, you will learn about the entire process of metamorphosis, and you'll be laughing the entire time as well. I really enjoyed this one. The caterpillar is super cute in all of his stages of metamorphosis, and he really makes learning about this process very fun for children and adults. This is available on Hoopla as an audiobook. I'm going to move on to a little bit older, and this is going to be an emergent reader. I say emergent reader, and these books will be good for kids who are beginning to read on their own, beginning readers in grades K through 2. The book I'm going to talk about today is Ling and Ting, Not Exactly the Same, by Grace Lin. So Ling and Ting are twins, and they look alike, they do everything together, and they even have the same smiles. But they aren't similar in every way because they do have some differences. This is the first book in a great series by award winner Grace Lin, and it really goes to show that everybody is different. Even twins who look alike, sound alike, do everything together, maybe even dress alike, they are very different on the inside. This is available on RB Digital as an audiobook. Going to go a little bit higher in our grades now, and this is recommended for grades 3 through 5. It's one of my favorite classic children's books, and I bet you have even heard of it before. It is Tuck Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt, and I absolutely love this story. This book begs the question, would it be a blessing to have eternal life, or would it actually be a burden? We don't really know. But when Winnie Foster meets the Tuck family and learns of their everlasting life, she's filled with these conflicting emotions, and while the Tuck family deplore her that this secret of this everlasting spring that they drank from would cause more harm to the world if revealed, she doesn't know what to feel or to think, And I think that's kind of human nature of, if we were able to live forever, would we want to? Is that, something that would be great? Or would we find out that living forever is really not as great as you think? So this is one of my favorite classic books, Tuck Everlasting, and it is available on RB Digital as an audiobook and an ebook. We're going to move a little bit higher. This is for grades 4 through 5, and the book is called Walls Within Walls, and it's by Maureen Sherry. This one is a mystery book. I really love mysteries. This is a mystery book about siblings that have moved into a new apartment building, and inside their house there's a clue on the wall that they need to figure out where it leads to and what this discovery really means for them. So I love books where there is a mystery within the mystery of the story, and this is one of those books. I think that any kids who really enjoy mysteries are going to like this. If you liked the Grimm Legacy series, you're going to like this. If you liked the 39 Clues series, I think this is a great step up from the 39 Clues. This is not a series. It is a singular book right now. So it does leave you on the edge at the end, but it is a very enjoyable mystery for our younger grades. And it is available as an ebook on Overdrive. Next, I'm going to talk about a graphic novel. I always like to include a graphic novel in my recommendations, though some people don't think that graphic novels are really great to read. They actually have larger, more expansive language in the story than most novels do. So these are really great for our reluctant readers because they're going to get vocabulary that they probably wouldn't have gotten in a regular novel. So the one I'm going to talk about today is Real Friends by Shannon Hale. And this is actually a graphic memoir. And it's about Shannon Hale and about how hard it is to find friends throughout life, but especially in those younger middle school years. It follows our main character through multiple grades, and you get to see the changes that happen from year to year when it comes to friendship. And I think anyone, growing up, that finding your true friends, your people, is very hard. And sometimes the people that you think will be your forever friends kind of only stay in your life for a season. So that is what this story is about, and I think it is a great graphic novel, both for boys and girls. So it is available on Overdrive as an ebook. We're going to move to middle school, so these books are going to be for grades 6 through 8. The first one is called The Benefits of Being an Octopus, and this is by Anne Braden. So I'll give you a little description of this book from Goodreads. 7th grader Zoe has had her hands full as she takes care of her much younger siblings after school every day while her mom works her shift at the pizza parlor. At school, Zoe tries to stay under the radar. Zoe thinks how much easier everything would be if she were an octopus. 8 arms to do 8 things at once, incredible camouflage ability, and steady, unblinking vision. Powerful, protective defenses. Unfortunately, she's not totally invisible, and one of her teachers forces her to join the debate club. So this novel actually explores the cultural divides around classes, and also there's a lot about the gun debate through the eyes of this one girl, Zoe, our 7th grader, who really has her own hands filled with her family situation at home. So she's trying to find her way in the world, trying to move forward from, what has happened to her in her life, and this is her story. And I think that this is a very touching story. It's going to grab your heart, and I think you will be able to make a lot of connections with our narrator. This is available as an ebook on Hoopla. Another middle school, this also can be a high school book. So I'm going to say a little bit later in middle school, the 7th, 8th grade, or older. And this is Salt to the Sea by Ruta Sepidis. She's one of my favorite authors for our middle and high school kids. And this one especially really touched me. So I'm going to read a little description of it because I cannot say it as well as it was written. While the Titanic and the Lusitania are both well-documented disasters, the single greatest tragedy in maritime history is the little-known January 30th, 1945 sinking in the Baltic Sea by a Soviet submarine of the Wilhelm Gustloff, a German cruise liner that was supposed to ferry wartime personnel and refugees to safety from the advancing Red Army. The ship was overcrowded with more than 10,500 passengers. The intended capacity was approximately 1,800, and more than 9,000 people, including 5,000 children, lost their lives. So this story is crafted with 4 fictionalized but historically accurate voices to convey this real-life tragedy, and our author does a really great job of that. Each character that you hear from has an original voice, a very real voice, and I am a lover of historical fiction. So if you like historical fiction, this is definitely one that I would recommend. It's available on RB Digital as an ebook. We're going to move on to some high school young adult novels. This is going to be good for grades 9 through 12. And the first one that I'm going to speak about is Why We Broke Up by Daniel Handler, also known as Lemony Snicket. So this is actually, I'm going to tell you first that this is available as an audiobook on Hoopla, and probably in my top 3 audiobooks that I've ever listened to. I did not read this as a print version, so I do recommend the audiobook. It is an amazing book to listen to. While the premise of the book is a teenage girl writing a letter to the boy she was dating and giving him all the reasons of why they broke up, the story that takes place is so much more than that. As a narrator, Min puts objects in a box that she intends to dump, just like you would dump somebody in a relationship, listing each of those objects as one of the reasons her and Ed broke up. She tells the story behind each item, and then she throws it into the box and throws that memory that goes along with that item into it. The best part of this book is that you're not just hearing her voice, but you're actually getting some sound effects of her throwing the items in the box. So if it's a larger item, it makes a larger sound, and you really hear that sound of this item hitting the bottom of that box, and this memory, and this breakup getting thrown away, and her moving forward, which I think is the best part of this book. Again, it's available as an audiobook on Hoopla, and it is Why We Broke Up by Daniel Handler. Another young adult book. One of my favorite authors is Rainbow Rowell. She is the author of Eleanor Park, and that's the one I'm going to tell you about today. So Eleanor is the new girl in town, and with her chaotic family life, her mismatched clothes, and unruly red hair, she couldn't stick out more if she tried. Park is the boy at the back of the bus, black t-shirts, headphones, head in a book. He thinks he's made himself invisible, but not to Eleanor. Never to Eleanor. Slowly, steadily, through late-night conversations and an ever-growing stack of mixtapes, Eleanor and Park fall for each other. They fall in love the way you do the first time when you're young and you feel as if you have nothing and everything to lose. So this book actually takes place in 1986. And obviously it's about 2 high school misfits and their journey with their first love. I'm all about that, and I think this is a very touching story, a very fun story. Obviously there are some sad parts of this story, but overall I think that you're going to connect to these characters and not only like the love, this first love that they have, but this friendship that they have in finding each other and feeling like the outsiders and finding somebody who also feels that way that you can connect with. So this is available on Overdrive as both an audiobook and an ebook. I'm going to move on to a couple adult recommendations, and the first one comes from Karen B. It is Call Your Daughter Home by Deb Spera. And this one is available as an audiobook on Hoopla. I am going to read a little summary of this because I haven't read it myself. And this one is a stunning tour de force following 3 fierce, unforgettable Southern women in the years leading up to the Great Depression. It's 1924, South Carolina, and the region is still recovering from the infamous boll weevil infestation that devastated the land and the economy. Gertrude, a mother of 4, must make an unconscionable decision to save her daughters from starvation or die at the hands of an abusive husband. Retta is navigating a harsh world as a first-generation freed slave still employed by the Coles, influential plantation proprietors who once owned her family. Annie is the matriarch of the Coles family and must come to terms with the terrible truth that has ripped her family apart. These 3 women seemingly have nothing in common, yet as they unite to stand up to the terrible injustices that have long plagued the small town, they find strength in the bond that ties women together. Told in the pitch-perfect voice of Gertrude, Retta, and Annie, Call Your Daughter Home is an audacious, timeless story about the power of family, deep-buried secrets, and the ferocity of motherhood. So this recommendation comes from Karen B. She loved, once again, that it was about strong women, also about 3 strong women who come from very different backgrounds. So this is available as an audiobook on Hoopla. Again, it is Call Your Daughter Home. Finally, our last adult recommendation comes from Maureen, and this is City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert. Maureen says this is a story of a young woman who finds herself in the theater crowd in New York City in the 1940s. Although it is fiction, it's written as an unconventional memoir that focuses on growing up, making mistakes, and ultimately finding oneself and living an authentic life. Just from her own description, from Maureen's description, I feel like this is every adult. You're growing up, you're making your mistakes, and you're trying to find yourself so that you can live the best life possible. So I think this would be a great book for anybody. It is available on Overdrive as an audiobook and an ebook. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this week's digital recommendations. I hope that you heard about something that you would like to put on your to-read list. And again, head over to westonpubliclibrary.org and go to our electronic resources page to access Hoopla, Overdrive, RB Digital. Any of the things that I've talked about here will be available in one of those 3 resources. And let us know if you read any of these and if you enjoyed them. If you have any recommendations for others, send them our way. You can always email me, apetrino@westonct.gov. I'll see you guys next week.